Class, once again, I'm here to discuss with you the American regime and the Japanese occupation. So to start with the American period or administration in our country, so let me give you an idea why the American came. So it was in 1898, because of what happened in Cuba, United States of America declared war against Spain. And because of that, the naval forces of United States of America, which anchored the time in Hong Kong, invaded our country, Philippines, not the Filipino, but against the Spanish government. So it was May 1, 1898, where the American invaded the Japanese forces, which known as the Great Battle of Manila Bay. And after such, the American captured Manila. And after the American captured Manila, then in the latter part, Spain surrendered to the Americans. Then the Treaty of Paris was signed. So talking about the Treaty of Paris, it was signed December 10, 1898. So because of that Treaty of Paris, then our country was ceded by Spain to United States of America. And the Spanish authority withdrew its military and sovereignty, not only Philippines, but including Cuba, Guam, and Puerto Rico. And in return, United States of America paid $20 million to the Spanish government. And the civil right and political rights of the Filipino is now left to the administration of U.S. government. So, with that, in 1898, after the Treaty of Paris, since there was a war, the American government established a military government from 1898 to 1901. So in 1899, that's the reason that Emilio Aguinaldo, since he was not informed about the Treaty of Paris, then there was the conflict between the Filipinos and the Americans, where in February 4, 1899, that was after the Malolos Republic was established and Emilio became our president, then Emilio Aguinaldo with the Filipino Revolutionary Army then declared war against the Americans. So therefore, in that military government established by the United States of America, there was a war, Filipino-American War, from February of 1899 until it ended in March 1901, when Emilio Aguinaldo was captured in Isabela province. So that's the end of war, and that was the time that a new government established by the Americans. So after the military government, here comes 1901 to 1935. So the president then of the United States of America was President William McKinley. And he once said, Philippines are not ours to exploit, but to develop, civilize, and educate, and most importantly, is to train the Filipino with the science of self-government. And that's what we, the Filipinos, okay, wanted, to have our own government. Okay? So, to continue with, so here comes the American colonial government, okay, when of course the following things that happened. The Taft Commission, the civil government, the Philippine Bill of 1902, the Philippine Assembly, then the resident commissioners to U.S., the Philippinization of the government, Jones Law, and of course, these two missions, Woodforbes and Oxroach. So, talking about the Taft Commission class, there were actually two commissions sent by United States in the Philippines to assess the status of our country. So the first one was the Sherman Commission in 1899. Then after that, Sherman left right away because there was a war. And it was followed by the Taft Commission in March 16, 1900. Okay, so it was the second Philippine Commission, headed by, of course, William Howard Taft. So, with William Howard Taft or William Taft recommended to the U.S. president to have a new government, and President McKinley approved the same. So therefore, a civil government was established after the military government. So therefore, in 1901 to 1935, then it was the civil government in the Philippines under the American regime. So the instructions were drafted by Secretary of War Alejo Root. So the Taft Commission with the civil government, okay? So the Taft Commission, okay, when they arrived in Manila in June 3, 1900, so these are the money, okay, provided by United States, $1 million for building, repairing roads and bridges, okay? So, and of course, laws for our country. So here comes the civil government, which was inaugurated in July 4, 1901. And William Howard Taft became the first civil governor. So the goal of the civil government is, of course, to give the Filipino people the chance or opportunity to participate in the government. So under the civil government, Governor Taft or Governor General William Taft became the first civil governor in our country, and he exercises executive and legislative power. So therefore, all branches of the government and control was vested to the Governor General. However, William Taft says, Philippines is for the Filipinos. So that's why he became popular to the Filipinos. So before his term ends in 1930, then William Taft asked the U.S. government to pass the law that governs the Philippines. So here comes the Philippine Bill of 1902, which also known as Cooper Act, because it was sponsored by Henry Cooper. So this bill or law became the organic law in the Philippines under the American occupation. And under this law, of course, so ito yung features. To have a Bill of Rights to the Filipinos, then appointment of 2 resident commissioners, okay, that represents the Philippines to U.S. Congress, and importantly, itong Philippine Assembly or Philippine Congress. Okay. And of course, the executive power shall be vested to the Governor General, and of course, the conservation of the country's natural resources. Now, talking about the Philippine Assembly, so it's more on the political. Then on July 30, 1907, the first national election was held in order to elect members of the Philippine Assembly as, again, the first Congress in our country. So it was the first free national election. And of course, this Philippine Assembly was inaugurated after the election of its members, October 16, 1907. And Sergio Osmeña Sr. became the first speaker of our Congress. So popular then during the American regime as a bar top notcher. And Manuel L. Quezon, another bar top notcher, was also elected as majority floor leader of the Philippine Assembly. So the picture of the Philippine Assembly. So therefore, this Philippine Bill of 1902, gave the Filipinos right to have 2 resident commissioners in U.S. So here comes the 2 commissioners, Benito Ligarda and Pablo Ocampo, and later, of course, Manuel L. Quezon. So the majority floor leader, became also a resident commissioner to U.S. and even considered as one of the greatest Filipino resident to United States of America. Then, in that Philippine Bill of 1902, so other than the establishment of the Philippine Assembly or Congress, then there was also the Philippinization of the government. Meaning to say that there were already Filipinos appointed to significant position in the government and Filipino workers in the government. So Philippinization, the one that being dream of the propaganda movement and even Jose Rizal. So during the American regime, unlike in the Spanish, na walang-wala talaga, but during the American regime, so there were about 4,000. It started with 2,000 plus until it reached about 4,000 Filipinos working in the government. So a very good example for this Philippinization in our government was, of course, the appointment of the first Filipino Chief Justice of the Supreme Court in the person of Cayetano Arellano. Then another one was Florentino Torres as the Attorney General, which right now it is known as Solicitor General. Then, of course, Gregorio Aranita was named as Secretary of Finance and Justice. Okay. Now, after the bill, Philippine Bill of 1902, then it was superseded by Jones Law of 1916. So, this Jones Law was sponsored by William Jones, and it was known as the Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916. It was signed by the President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson. So meaning to say, if you will going back to the William McKinley's concept or statement that Philippines are not for the American to exploit, but to help the Filipino, then therefore, this Philippine Autonomy Act is so important for that statement and also to the statement of William Taft that Philippines for the Filipinos. So with this law, Jones Law, then it gives an opportunity of the Philippines to become an independent from United States. Okay, so this Jones Law, contained that American promise to give independence of the Philippines. So, and a greater participation of the Filipinos in the government and to define the structure of our government in the Philippines. Okay, so therefore, under this Jones Law, so there were changes happen. The executive power is vested to the Governor General, which of course appointed by the U.S. President, but the legislative power shall be given to the Filipinos. So with that, the Philippine Assembly was changed into Philippine Legislature with two houses, the upper house and the lower house, or the House of Representatives and the Philippine Senate. And the judicial power shall be vested to the Chief Justice, which it should be Filipino, not American. So here comes the election of the members of the Philippine Legislature in October 3, 1960. Okay? And of course, it was inaugurated in October 16, 1916. So, who was the elected Senate President? So, the first Senate President was Manuel L. Quezon, and the Speaker of the House was, of course, the same person, Sergio Osmeña Sr. No? So, the grand old man of Cebu. Okay, that's why September 9 was Cebu's special non-working holiday. Okay, for, of course, in commemorating Sergio Osmeña Sr. birthday. Okay, so Manuel L. Quezon and Osmeña, and of course, the officers of the American side. Then, here comes the Wood and Forbes mission. Okay, so Leonard Wood and Cameron Forbes, okay, they were sent by the United States of America in order to assess our country if our country is ready for its independence, because it was the goal, okay, or objective of the Jones Law in 1916. So it was in October 1921 that, according to these two, after their assessment and evaluation, that our country was not yet prepared for independence. So, with that, it was followed by the Osrox mission. So, our Philippine legislature in November 1931 sent also a mission to the United States to work for our independence, to ask the U.S. Congress to enact independence law for our country. So here comes Harry Hawes or Harry Hughes, okay, and Senator Cutting. So with that, so the law was passed, which was known as the Harry Hughes Cutting Act of 1933. And what happened to this Harry Hughes Cutting Act, which actually known as the first independent act for our country? There was a great debate happened in our Congress. Our Congress, the Philippine legislature, was divided into two: Osmeña Rojas Pacson and Quezon Pacson. So Quezon says no, and Osrox says yes. So at the end, the two group, okay, decided to what? To reject this law, this Harry Hughes Cutting law. So with that, they asked for a better independence law for our country. And therefore, the Tidings-McDuffie law then was promulgated, and this Tidings-McDuffie law was approved by Franklin Roosevelt March 24, 1934. At sumang-ayo naman yung Philippine legislature natin in the Philippines. So with that, it was the time that the Philippines will establish its own government. So therefore, in July 13, 1934, nagkaroon ng Constitutional Convention. Then members were elected And that time, Claro M. Recto, another Bartop Nutcher, was elected president of the said Constitutional Convention, of which its purpose to create a new constitution. And therefore, after the deliberation of this new constitution in February 1935, February 8, then a new constitution was promulgated. Then it was sent to US. Then in March 23, 1935, the 1935 Constitution was approved by President Franklin Roosevelt. And it was ratified by the Filipinos in May 14, 1935. So with that, mayroon na tayong sariling constitution. So it's time for us Filipinos to establish our own government, because that's the purpose, for us to be given freedom and independence from the United States of America. So September 16, 1935, first election was held in the Philippines. So that's the first national election ever. Then Manuel L. Quezon was elected president versus Emilio Aguinaldo and Gregorio Aglipay. Then Sergio Osmeña Sr. was elected the vice president. And therefore, in November 15, 1935, this government, so-called the First Philippine Republic, was inaugurated together with the government under the umbrella of United States of America, which is the Commonwealth government. So therefore, class, in the Tidings-McDuffie law, we're given 10 years to establish a stable government, then an independence will be granted to the Philippines. So in the 10 years transition period from 1935 to 1945, the Philippines shall be called Commonwealth government. So that's what happened. Then of course, other than political, there were also social progress and economic progress in our country. So talking about the social progress, of course, education, where public schools were constructed, okay, established, so that more Filipinos can, of course, enroll. So with 7 years in elementary and 4 years in high school. So a total of 11 years. Okay, not 10 years, but 11 years, which right now it became what? 12 years. And of course, religious, okay, freedom. Okay, so there was freedom to religion. So with that, Protestantism, okay, were established, and at the same time, Filipino Independent Church, where I will give you two of them, okay? The Aglipay Church, which was established in 1902 under the leadership of Bishop Aglipay. So it was the first independent church. Then second Filipino Independent Church was established in 1914, which no other than the Iglesia ni Cristo, okay, established by Felix Manalo. So that's the social progress, no? And of course, the Bill of Rights and the right to vote were given, okay, to the Filipinos. Now, how about economic progress? Of course, transportation and communication, agricultural industry, new industry, rise of new banks, and of course, land policy. So the lands that were taken by the Spanish will return back to the Filipinos with title. And of course, there was also business boom and foreign trade in our country. So those are the things that happened. So there was actually progress during the American regime. Okay, so political, social, and economic progress. Okay, now, 10 years to count. So Manuel L. Quezon and Sergio Osmeña served the country from 1935 to 1941, and they were re-elected in 1941 up to 1945 for the declaration of our independence. However, it was cut short because of the Japanese invasion. So that's it, class, for the American. So the next video will be the Japanese occupation. Thank you.